Good morning and welcome to Passive Christian, where I live my best career life. This morning we're heading over to Fort Worth, where we're going to participate in some bike ride. It is also raining, so that should be enjoyable. Lately I've been very into biking. I got a different bike to replace my old one, my quote-unquote old one, the Van Move, which I hate and I'm still having issues with. And I contacted the company again, tried to get the spare part that is like the issue, and it's just like a runaround in circles. So I ended up getting this other bike, and I've just been cycling a lot since then. So hopefully this is going to help kickstart my fitness journey. But also I need some coffee.
If you made it this far, sorry for that awful audio in the beginning. So I have been sitting on this footage for months now. I think it's been like 3 months since I did this bike ride. Whoops, my bad. And if you're following me, you know that I've been really consistent. I've been doing my Genie in a podcast almost weekly. I had this whole like campaign. We were going to have a whole streaming party and we ended up having it and it was great. And that's for a different video. Here I am showing other interests, and I thought I would post a different video of me doing other things than talking about Christina Aguilera incessantly. The bike ride that I ended up doing was the 24-mile, and it said it was quote unquote a more casual ride, but I think this was definitely challenging. There were definitely portions that were like uphill, and it definitely like caught up to me. Before I committed to doing the 24-miler, I was contemplating briefly about doing the 63-miler one, which would have been a huge mistake. So luckily I went with the smaller one. The bike ride is called Pedal Around Fort Worth. And while in theory I read that, I had no clue it really was biking around Fort Worth. And it was a really cool bike ride. I got to see like so many different parts of the city that I hadn't seen before, or things you wouldn't notice like just driving around. This was also very challenging because I hadn't ridden a mountain bike in probably 2 or 3 years. And I was only mostly used to my previous bike, which had e-assist. And if you're unfamiliar with the Van Move bike that I own, I'll post the link up above. I highly recommend you not get a Van Move. I have the Van Move S3. It was a huge mistake, a waste of money. The company went bankrupt. But I'll just post the link up above. It was a whole ordeal. And it's been over a year, and I have yet to hear anything from the company about how to get one part that I need to make this bike like usable. Right now, it's just a heavy piece of trash, essentially. But look at this cute dog. How adorable. I've seen this man out and about with his dog in various like rides. As in any city, there were periodic lulls. This was one of the high points, going through the stockyards. It's cute. It's early in the morning, so there wasn't, traffic, people out and about. But it's just cute to see the interesting points of the city. But also at this point, I'm like exhausted. And I was ready for it to be the midpoint, and I thought it was, but it was not. There was various points along the path that I contemplated just like giving up and then biking back to my car. And here's about one of them. So many hills, currently dying. And we haven't even braked yet. And we're past like 10 miles. Previously we were one big cluster, and now everybody is so sparsed out. Those hills got us all. And here was where we took our midpoint break. Of course, you couldn't use the restroom because there were like this huge group of bicyclists that were trying to use the restroom, but I did manage to get a coffee, which in hindsight was probably not a good idea because coffee does make me go. Sweet. So we stopped for coffee. I didn't get to use the restroom. I'm exhausted. And I think we're like a little bit over like halfway done. There's one more rest stop. And then I think that's ice cream. And now our break is over. I probably shouldn't have had milk in my drink, but it was whole milk. I'm also randomly lactose intolerant. I don't know. I can't control it. Also, I'm middle-aged. With doing this bike ride and also using a bike that I didn't have e-assist, I totally realized just how bad of shape I am in. Like, I definitely struggled and definitely pushed myself harder than I should have. This is my bike. She's kind of boring, but she gets the job done. I'm thinking about covering it in like a bunch of stickers. So here we are, stopped at Melt Ice Creams. Also this really like pretty yellow background. Free ice cream. Definitely worked for that ice cream. I probably shouldn't have that much dairy in one morning. And it's only 11:18. I desperately want pizza after this. With that last rest stop at the ice cream, I thought we were near the end. But it turns out we weren't. That we still had to go from the Magnolia area of Fort Worth all the way to TCU and then back to where the cars were all parked. It was exhausting. And of course, my camera died. Well, we're finished, and we made the entire 25 miles. It turns out the ice cream stop was not at mile 22. That it was in fact 5 miles away from the end. And right at the end, whenever I thought we were done with the hard part, there was a massive hill. Anyway, we finished. And I pushed myself quite a bit. And I learned how to use gears because the previous bike didn't have any, so I learned how to do that. Now I need pizza, a Dr. Pepper, and I'm going home. That's the vlog. See, I do have other hobbies. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.